A very tough day for Blue Origin. Their New Glenn rocket exploding on the launch pad, a cataclysmic failure, destroying hundreds of millions, if not up to $1 billion of infrastructure along the way. Hoping the team at Blue Origin can figure out exactly what went wrong, rebuild, and get back into it. A tough day for all involved. Rockets are really, really, really hard. Hence the saying, got to blow up a few rockets to make an orbital class omelette. I think that's how the saying goes. If you haven't been following the SpaceX story too closely, Blue Origin is in a very distant second place, a private space company, roughly where SpaceX was a decade ago. 2015, SpaceX first lands an orbital class booster. Blue Origin pulled it off 10 years later in 2025. And believe it or not, SpaceX also had a rocket blow up on a pad during some testing in 2016. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but I do just want to emphasize how far ahead SpaceX are in terms of progress. This has enormous implications for the SpaceX IPO, for Starlink, and for orbital data centers. SpaceX has a literal 10-year, a decade lead on second place.
But what does this mean for rival SpaceX as it prepares to go public? Walter Isaacson is an advisory partner at Perella Weinberg, Tulane University professor and a CNBC contributor. Walter, it's great to see you again. I don't know the detail. I mean, maybe this could affect. I understand there was some damage at the launch pad. It could perhaps affect NASA. I haven't seen if Musk has commented on it yet, although, you know what, I feel that when we hear from SpaceX, as they've had multiple issues with, he'll always say, look, this is a tough business. And when they achieve things like landing a rocket back on a floating raft, you realize, yeah, there's going to be some, corollary damage to getting this right. So maybe it's not a big deal for Blue Origin, and maybe it is. I'm just curious what you make of it.
Well, it is a big deal for Blue Origin because they launched their launch pad, and it was the only launch pad that can launch New Glenn. So that's going to set them back quite a few months as they try to rebuild the launch pad. It's not great for NASA's mission to the moon because you had both Blue Origin and SpaceX were both building the human landing system. Obviously, SpaceX is now more likely to get it built first. But space is a very difficult thing. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman said it after the blow up of the Blue Origin launch pad. He said space is difficult. As you say, landing space boosters, this is something Bezos has been doing and SpaceX has been doing for a long time.
Some of you may not know, but Blue Origin was actually founded roughly 2 years before SpaceX, with a pledge from then Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos to fund it, I believe, to the tune of about $1 billion per year. So extremely well financed and a little bit older than SpaceX yet. Now, a solid decade behind. I don't mean to diminish what Blue Origin has accomplished so far, but relative to SpaceX, there really is no second place. SpaceX is the only game in town. Launch capacity and cost. And this is before Starship, which is progressing very nicely. So if the thesis is true that orbital compute for AI inference and training will be more cost effective than Earth-based AI compute within just a few years and can scale much more rapidly because you don't have approvals, regulation, and all sorts of other bullshit, buildings, construction, thermal management, infrastructure, the battery storage, and so on. And if all of the world's large AI companies want to get their hands on orbital AI compute, there's only one company on the planet that will be capable of launching said AI compute, SpaceX. If it does take Blue Origin 10 years to get to the same point that SpaceX is currently at, in other words, if SpaceX is simply able to maintain their current lead, where will SpaceX be a decade from now when Blue Origin finally catches up to where SpaceX was today?
I mean, I'm sitting here on the banks of the Mississippi River at Blaine Kern's Mardi Gras World, and this is where some of those barges are built at the Bollinger Shipyard, where totally amazingly they land rockets upright. But every now and then you have something like happened yesterday.
Yeah, and I misspoke. It wasn't a takeoff. It was a hot fire test that they were conducting on the ground when those engines ignited. So SpaceX has this IPO coming up in a couple of weeks. And it was interesting to learn the financials of Walter. I don't know if you've looked at those in detail, but $19 billion in revenue, 25 or so of losses. It's not that spectacular.
Yeah, but
investors, as we know, aren't buying for today. They're buying for future growth. Retards might buy for today. But on that example of $19 billion of revenue, add in the Anthropic deal itself, $1.25 billion per month for up to 3 years. That alone is almost a doubling of SpaceX's entire 2025 revenue. And It doesn't include the insane growth of Starlink home broadband and mobile service, continued expansion of AI compute, potentially many other deals for access, just like the Anthropic deal, the acquisition of Cursor. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time before SpaceX, wait for it, rockets past $100 billion and then beyond $1 trillion in annual revenues. A huge chunk of that on the back of AI.
We are now, one of the things that I was down in South Texas at the SpaceX launch facility for the latest Starship launch just last Thursday or Friday. And that's the biggest rocket ever made. It's the counterpart to the New Glenn rocket that Blue Origin is doing. And it got all the way up and all the way around. A few glitches, but it was enormously successful. It will be able to launch huge amounts of satellite and the cargo you need to have a landing system ready for a moon landing and a moon base. So we're seeing that launch last week was very good for SpaceX, and it puts them way ahead in the race of doing communication satellites in low Earth orbit, which is what Blue Origin is trying to do, but SpaceX is way ahead, and the loss of this launch pad during this test means that it's going to be harder for Blue Origin to catch up in the next 2 or 3 years with low Earth orbit communication satellites.
To clarify, he's referring to the Blue Origin attempt at competing with Starlink. For context, Starlink has roughly 10,000 satellites in orbit today, serving over 10 million customers just for the home broadband and millions more on the cell service. The vast majority of SpaceX launches monthly are for their own product, more Starlink. We'll see the similar thing play out when Starship is finalised, launching orbital AI compute. It's difficult for me to imagine how Blue Origin will carve out any meaningful share with their Starlink competitor, given how far behind they are and how rapidly SpaceX continues to scale the Starlink constellation. And it's equally difficult for me to understand how a company like Blue Origin will be able to launch a meaningful number of orbital data centers, given how far behind they are relative to SpaceX.
Do you think, this might be a silly question, but do you think in a weird way, as we've heard, there's going to be a big retail allocation at this IPO, and some say that's because institutions don't want it. I don't know. The public certainly does. Is that in part because they find it fun to give capital to Elon Musk because he goes and changes the world with it? I mean, Tesla, he went and did it, right? The auto business didn't even look good for years and years and years. And now with SpaceX and the satellites and everything else he wants to do, it almost feels to me like the retail public is saying, we just want to give you fuel to go and try to achieve these dreams. And sure, we hope you make money. And I know they don't want to lose their money. I mean, these companies have maintained their valuations more or less. There's a lot of risk around the IPO, but can you just talk about those dynamics?
Well, first of all, I think they will make money. I mean, to have a recreated internet in low Earth orbit that they have with Starlink, that's huge. And soon we'll be building data centers for AI in space. That will be huge. But you've asked a really good question, and I wouldn't just personalize it. I would actually elevate it a bit, which is, if you want to invest your money, do you want to invest in something that's truly meaningful, that makes a real difference in this world? For example, the transition to a world of electric vehicles, space exploration. These are the type of things that maybe retail investors, not just because they're sentimental, but they believe in deploying capital for good things. I don't think it's just let's give it to Elon Musk. It's no, let's go to the moon. Let's go to Mars. Let's get into an era of electric vehicles. I'd love to. I don't invest in things like this because I write about them. But if I were going to invest, I'd rather do that than in some Bitcoin thing that may not be adding great value to the planet.
What's remarkable about what Elon Musk has done with both Tesla and soon to be the public SpaceX is to create investment opportunities that over the long term have produced staggering, goated, Hall of Fame financial returns for long-term investors, while at the same time being cool as fuck. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.